The concept of culture. Culture provides a framework, that is how we define it, to fulfill our basic needs, which are physical, emotional, and social needs. All these needs have been defined earlier. Physical needs, such as we all need food, and that is the way we have food is a part of our culture. Emotional needs, we have births, deaths, weddings, parties, occasions. These all satisfy our emotional needs. And the way we carry on with all these elements and affairs is called the culture. And then the social needs, the way we meet each other, interact with each other, the way we plan how we are going to live a life, that are based on our social needs. And the framework that how we are going to fulfill these needs is actually providing the culture framework for us. It's a way of doing things to balance the individual needs. Now, this is very important to know that the culture has to be controlled. There has to be a limit in culture. We cannot say that since this thing is happening in a particular culture, it may happen. That means we are crossing the limits of a culture. And that is why if there are no limits and there's no balance, that means the culture is being injured. The culture is being harmed. It is being destroyed. So that means the word culture is also related to some sort of a framework, and it is also related to some sort of limits. And if you cross those limits, probably you would be out of the culture. As it says, it's a way of doing things to balance the individual needs with the needs of the society as a whole. Again, let's take an example of food. Maybe that's my favorite one. That if we think that a particular group in the community is supposed to be having the best of meat, or they are supposed to be having the best of rice, and all the best products should be given to one particular group, that means we are destroying the culture. We are harming the culture. We are injuring the framework. We are hitting it badly. So therefore, there has to be a balance. If we say we have a culture, that means we have to balance our needs with the needs of the society as a whole. We have to think about the other members of the society, the elderly, the weak, the young, the old, the rich, the poor. So then we would be following the framework of the culture if we are balancing the needs of every member of the society with regard to the members' needs of the society as a whole. Nobody is being deprived of anything that one member is being provided for. So it is a misconception to justify a culture when they are crossing the limits, and we can just justify it by saying that's the culture. So we are using a wrong word actually. That's not the culture, because if you are crossing the limits, that means you do not have a culture. You do not have a framework. You are out of the circle, which is called culture. So in order to maintain that circle, in order to make the culture exist, the change is important, but at the same time, it has to be balanced. The attitude to maintain the culture should be balanced and should be in regards to fulfilling the needs of every member of the society or the community, and having the needs of one person fulfilled and unfair to another person whose needs are not being fulfilled would not be called a culture, because there is no balance in it. So we need to know that it is not that a culture is a negative word. A culture is a positive word, and it is misused for everything that is being done wrong and justifying it by saying this is the culture. So the culture has to be positive. The culture is not to be used as a word for things that are being done in an unfair manner or are being exposed to negative attitude. A culture has a package of change, a culture has a package of sharing, and a culture has a framework in which balance has to be maintained for each and every individual of the society and the community to make it peaceful and harmonious.